So you're in search of a new flat rocker frame? Let me tell you why this might be the best option, but also the worst option for you. So me and Kizer frames have a love-hate relationship for a long time, and it all stems back to when I skated the Ian McLeod Steam frame way back in the day. Like the glass, like you felt every little piece of it grinding on something you knew they would shatter if you hit the wrong thing. Well, it turns out they did shatter. I broke the frame in between the third and the fourth wheel, and I'll never forget like just looking down at my skate and be like, well, you knew that was gonna happen sooner or later. Later on, I would try one of the Fluid frames. I'm not sure, it was in like the 2008 era. And I just remember every time I would go skating, my bolts would come loose, and I would have to like end up losing bolts. And I remember not having a lot of extra Kizer parts, and my friends not having a lot of extra Kizer parts, so I remember like running into a lot of trouble there. So pretty much after that, I kind of like wrote them off as like not an option. When I flash forward to when I bought some Mesmer Bolinos, they came with Kizer Fluid 5s. Now, when I originally skated the Kizer Fluid 5 is when I put them on knee skates, because when I got the Bolinos, I took them right off, and I think I put Wish frames and went to something else, I believe thems. So basically these just sat for a long time. Then I was getting kind of bored of the them frame. This is like sometime this year, and I remembered I had these on there, and I was like, you know what, let me give them a try. And I didn't realize that they were flat rocker frames. I thought I had Fluid 4s because I'm like very confused on like the difference between the Fluid 4s and the other Fluid frames. So like the labeling of, I mean, maybe it's just me not being very well educated in like Kizer frames in general, but I had like a misconception on what I had. So I put anti-rocker on them, and I had like the 64mm famous wheels, and I had the Kryptonics that I actually have in all my anti-rocker setup right now. And I remember I had them straight on my thems, and I'm used to royaling like just normally, so I just like went up to this metal ledge, went to royale, jumped on, and I just lost all control of myself because it's like it was completely different from what I felt, and I just died. Like my feet went out from under me. It was like I never royaled before in my life, and I was like, well, this is off to an absolutely fantastic start. Like I'm on my back. It's kind of like it's warm out, luckily, so I wasn't feeling too bad. But I'm just like, man. So I spent over the course of that next 2 hours in a mixture of wonder and fear, I would say, because it was wonder because I wondered if I was going to be able to land on my groove on each time because of how shallow it was, and then fear because I didn't know how my boots were going to react when the frame hit the certain metal. So to say I was completely unprepared for the situation is fair. I was not ready for it. And I know a lot of people complain about the groove or how shallow it is, and actually, like, for the most part, it makes sense. So it's the best way I can say it. The general feeling of it blocking everything out for flat and you not catching wheel bite, it's there. Now, this is where my problem lays in with it. So I don't know if you could tell, maybe I'll show a different angle of this, but right here, you can see this is the groove right here. If you're looking straight at it, it seems like this groove would center up right into here, whereas the them, for me, it's a little bit back here, where I'm used to. So maybe it was a misjudgment of how the H block line up. In reality, I wasn't even thinking about that when I put them together, that it kind of like didn't line up until like actually a few days ago, because I was going to go out here and film some more tricks for this, but I felt like it wasn't fair because it really doesn't line up. And I was like having struggles too, because these in a way made my royale kind of turn way more like sharp than I ever wanted to, because I'm used to like royaling where I can like literally just jump on top, like bend my knees, and I'm 9 times out of 10 I'm gonna do it. And I felt like with these, if I did that, it wouldn't hit the royale groove one and would make the wheels like kind of bite more than I want to. So in a way I had to offset how I was like shifting my body for it and like turning my foot and like bending my foot even more than I really wanted to. And I think I like really jacked my ankle doing that. And that's not a good feeling. So my initial thoughts after that day were, they were really fast, really hard, and they made some sounds that I didn't really appreciate. And for an anti-rocker frame, but no, I was wrong. It was a flat rocker frame. So flash forward, I got these DailyRollin wheels in, and they're 58mm by 90. And I didn't have a them frame on hand to put them in to test them for flat, and I needed to really test them in a flat setup, so I decided to put them on these Kizer frames because I read later on that they were actually Fluid 5s and meant for flat. So I was like, you know what? This is the perfect chance for me to actually give these an opportunity and like see if they're any good. Because the last time I feel like if I was skating a Manny Rocker, I didn't really give them a fair shot. And frankly, on the boots that I had them on, which were the brain dead boots, I feel like they're just cursed for me. Every time I have them on, I usually have something bad happen to me. Where it be like with those, I fell really hard. In New York, I got overheated and dehydrated like while I was skating, and I never had that happen before. So they're just kind of like bad luck skates for me. Had them off the brain deads and put them on these. So this was a much better feeling setup, especially how the black boot feels in comparison to the other one. My initial reaction with these was, again, that the Royale just felt a little off. But once you got a groove going, which is why I took it to like a local parking lot, I wanted to see if I can like, if it was this, like maybe I had to like really grind through this and like get a feeling like the old school way. So I just went to like a yellow curve and just didn't wax it. I just like went for it to make the frame kind of slide and like power through. And felt that it didn't really... Like, if I was to do that with a normal frame, I feel like I would have been able to push myself and just let my body, but it was, like, catching every so often, and, like, I was really kind of over them at this point. Like, I didn't really want to give them a chance, but I said, you know what, like, I need to test the wheels anyway, so let me just keep grinding them. So, took them out for another day of street skating and actually, like, skated a spot with them, and worked the back rail with them to really get like a nice groove into them. And I actually kind of liked how they back railed more so how they front railed. I'm not really a back rail skater. If you ever notice in my clips, I either 270 back rail or zero spin back rail. Straight up back rail, I just think I'd make it look bad, so I don't really do it too often. But I felt like this day with these, they kind of make it like, because of how you have to angle your foot more, it makes a back rail a little bit easier, which doesn't make any sense, but for me it does. When I tried front farbs in these, they just didn't work at all. But I think that's also because of how the groove is lined up and how I do front farbs. And maybe it's because I skated and had like a predetermined groove in these ritters to where it was used for like a them frame. And now it's like way off base from where it should be. That was the one thing that really stood out, especially when looking at, like, if you even look at this part, like, these don't, this like is straight up to that, and this is where the groove is. So the groove should be like here, whereas though it's hitting the middle like there, and that's on the inside. I know it don't really mean too much, but it's something that it has to be something, right? Am I wrong? Like, so I spent a majority of the time when I was skating these in complete fear when I was trying royales or like back fars, and I just felt awkward doing back fars. Even though you didn't catch, it just felt like you didn't have that complete control, and I think that comes down to the hardness of it. So it's a very hard frame in comparison to like a them frame, and the sounds that it makes when you're grinding on like ledges and everything, and like, some people might enjoy this, but as my friend Jim would say, that he coined it as like the sound of a shrieking child, and it mirrors the sound of how it feels when you're grinding. Like, these don't feel good when you're on like a really jagged ledge or like a really rough concrete. They just... Skating is a lot about confidence and how good you feel while you're skating. And I feel like with these, I do a lot more thinking about my placement of my feet and if it's gonna work, rather than just like me performing the trick and be able to just like let my body go. And like, and when you add an element of that in there, it just doesn't lead to anything good. So the pros and the cons of it. The cons, let's start off with there. Actually, let's start off with the pros. Let's start off with the pros. So they're very light. They're much lighter than my them frames. I felt like they were really good for set slides, really responsive. I felt like if you kind of just bent your foot, it would kind of take it, but in a good way. In terms of sliding, I feel like on soul tricks, they're absolutely out. If you like really fast frames, these are probably really good for you. You would really enjoy this. I like how the wheels spin in there. They spin really good. It feels like they have enough space in there to where like that's not really going to be a problem with the frame compressing. And let's go with the negatives. So these took me 45 minutes to take off my old frames and put these wheels into this frame, and then put this frame onto my skate and then put the wheels in there. The fact that I nearly felt like I broke my palm when I was just smashing this wheel to get in here. And how are we in 2025? And the fact that I have to like get something else to squeeze the frame up, and just for the simple fact of me being able to put a wheel on there, it's just unacceptable. The fact that I'm putting myself through pain to put a skate together, and me taking, like, this should have taken me 10 minutes max to put my wheels in here. And that sucked. I'm not gonna lie. Like that took me back to like 2004, where we were prehistoric times, and like I'm really struggling to put my stuff together. And man, that was a bad experience. So if I'm a new skater and like I didn't know what to do, I would have been very disappointed in my purchase at this point. Number 2, when you're on a metal obstacle, you have absolutely no feeling in your tricks, I feel like, with grooves at least. Like, I'm used to being able to feel like where you are with royales and backslides, and with these it felt like you were jumping on and just holding on for dear life. Some people might enjoy that, where you have like the skate park feeling of no friction in anything. I need to feel something. And I know you felt it on like really rough stuff, and you heard it on really rough stuff, but on metal things, you had virtually no feeling at all, I felt like. And I don't like that. I need some kind of resistance or something where I know like where my foot is on there, but this also may go hand in hand with how the groove was set up. Also the frame walls. Now I said they were good for set slides and they were good for the thickness. Now for soles, it's not. So if you can see right here, my sole plate. So right now with these thick frame walls, my sole at this point is about a penny wide at the bottom. And I understand like it's a lot bigger up this part from this part because they're the old them soles and they just die. And I forgot, side note, man, the angled soles are so much better than these after you go back to them. The thick frame walls, I feel like, gives you less space on your sole too, so you have to keep that in mind when you skate these. These are a lot thicker than your normal frames, so they will, if you're like me and you have like a 1998 looking sole plate right now, they will make you miss in more ways than one. Another problem I had, which I said before I had a problem in the past, was with the bolts coming loose. I skated these one time, and as you can see, I had the bolts tighten all the way, and they were still making like a jagged moving sound. I also had one instance of another day when I went and skated street, and I just like kind of hit the bump wrong, and this wheel like kind of like got jacked out and like completely stopped, and I had to stop what I was doing, go get my Allen keys, take my skates off because it's, you know, you can't do it yourself, take the wheel out, like force it out, have to again smash it back in just because it wasn't like rolling right at all. And it was just like, I don't know what happened there. Like, did the spacer kind of get jacked? But that was a pain in the butt. And especially like when it's windy and cold and like you're finally getting going, you're finally doing a trick and you have to stop what you're doing and take your skates apart just because your wheel don't roll anymore. So that was extremely frustrating. That's also just, it could have been me. I could have put it in wrong. Overall, if I was to pick between these and the them frames for flat, I would probably 100% skate the them frames over these in terms of like, especially for them. These might be a lot better on a Mesmer skate or maybe a Sway skate because the Kizers are kind of made for like the USD product. But for me, on thems, I would say definitely get the them frame over this. As much as I do like the H-block does cover for wheel bite and everything, because it does make sense. You can see like in these clips that like there's a lot of space in between. These come in 245mm, 268mm, so they fit pretty decently on a them boot if you're into it. So I sometimes spend like 20 minutes just looking at my skates and how I can improve them, and I was just like rolling them back and forth one day on my table, and I noticed how like the second and third wheels weren't touching. And this was a brand new set of wheels at the point. I think I had skated them twice this time, and I just like was rolling it back and forth, and I'm like, why aren't my wheels touching right now? So I don't know if that was a design thing, whereas actually like it looks like they're like even uneven in a way, like how they go off, but maybe it's just me. Skating these actually did feel like a little bit when I was skating my Fifth Elements for the first time. Like the H-block was a lot more different than I was remembering, and I just don't feel like I was ready for that full deep like grind. And when I first like put my Royale down, and like I felt like a jolt in my ankle, and I don't know if maybe it's the hardness of the Kizer frames. Maybe they're like a little too hard for them boots. But in my opinion, I feel like it's just entirely too hard. So we took a trip to Maryland and skated these skate parks. And Jim hurt his ankle, and he has thems and the Mesmer frames, the same ones I have. And I hurt my ankle just doing like a Royale where my foot just kind of like, you know, I did my normal Royale position, but because how the frame was doing it, it just like made my foot kind of jolt and just hurt my ankles. And I thought it was the cuffs maybe at first, but when he got hurt too in the same kind of way, it was just like, maybe these just don't work well for these skates. Maybe the plastic's a little too hard, and like, I don't know. I just know that in the past couple like 5-6 years of skating frames, I didn't have like really an issue with my ankle hurting while skating something, and this is one of the first instances in a long time where they did. So maybe it's just my old ass like not being able to handle it anymore, and could very well be that, but I felt like these were just a little too hard for me. And I usually like hard, fast things. Like, I like the old school razors where they had the Elliott super fast stuff. I know it's a different world now with how hard plastic is, but for the most part, I like that. But in this case, it was just a little too much. A little too much sauce for the pasta, if you want to say. So overall, I would say weight, 8 out of 10. Looks, it's a pretty basic looking frame. I would say, if anything, the thing I would change would be the H block. I would make it slightly bigger to where it could just account for other sole plates and how their backslide plates are set up, because I feel like this was dialed in for a Mesmer, or dialed in for like maybe a Sway or whatever the top USD is. But for me, I feel like I'm going to stop skating these. I don't want to hurt my ankle any more than I need to. I give them a fair shake, and yeah, I'm going to have to give them a thumbs down on this one. If you like ledges and you like rails, these might be the ones for you. If you skate a USD product, also it might be the perfect frame for you. For me, I like the Them frame over this. I do want to try the new Them anti-rocker frame, but I also want to try a frame where I can skate flat, and that's why I kind of want to try the Wish frame, because it looks like a way better upgraded version of what it used to be. But yeah, if you're in the market for some new flat rocker wheels, get some DailyRollin 58s. If you really want to get a new Kizer frame, I believe they're $58.99 right now. You can get them for pretty cheap. Available at all your local skate shops. They probably even have the Mesmer ones for clearance, because I know a lot of people just took them off and got custom setups and so forth. But for me, I'm going to have to go a different direction. If you enjoyed this review, please like, leave a comment, subscribe. You tell me what your favorite version of the Kizer frame was. Like I said before, I broke the Steam, I broke the Fluid, whatever version of them in 2008. And I'm just going to stay away from hurting myself anymore with the Fluid 5s. But they worked really well for flat. They did what they protected you completely from wheel bite. So they are advertised, they are fast. So if you like fast things, these are perfect for you. For me, I'm going to stay in the under 40 mile per hour zone for the moment. But if you like this, leave a comment, subscribe, and check back for more future updates. I will be doing more wheel reviews soon, and probably some frame reviews on the horizon, so we'll see. But thank you. Till next time, thanks for watching.